Remove the lever from the choke rod by rotating it until it disengages from the rod. Remove the choke rod from the lower lever inside the main body casting by holding the lower lever outwards with a small screwdriver and twisting the choke rod. Using a 3/32 drift punch and hammer, drive the accelerator pump lever pivot pin inward until the end of the pin is against the air horn. Lay the pump lever off to the side and out of the way, and using a needle nose pliers, remove the TPS plunger. Using a needle nose pliers, remove the vacuum hose from the choke pull-off. Now, remove the two front carburetor mounting bolts with a ratchet wrench and socket. Unscrew the center mounting stud for the air cleaner. Remove the air horn to main body screws. When removing the two countersunk screws located inside the air horn, use a magnetic screwdriver to prevent dropping them into the intake manifold. If you are uneasy about removing these screws with the carburetor on the engine, we suggest you stop here and remove the carburetor from the intake manifold before proceeding any farther. Remove the air horn from the main body by lifting it straight up and off. Pushing up from the bottom with a small screwdriver on the electrical connector, remove the TPS assembly from the main body. Using a needle nose pliers, retrieve the spring from the TPS well. Compare the old TPS with the new one to be sure of the correct replacement. Install the new TPS spring. Position the new TPS assembly into the carburetor main body. Be careful to align the groove in the electrical connector with the slot in the main body casting. Push down on the electrical connector and the sensor so the wires and the connector are below the main body casting surface. Reinstall the air horn gasket and air horn, holding down on the pump plunger assembly. To ease installation, insert a thin screwdriver between the air horn gasket and the main body to raise the TPS adjustment lever over the sensor. Loosely install all the air horn screws. Tighten the screws evenly, working from the center outward in a crisscross pattern. Reinstall the two front carburetor mounting bolts and tighten them securely. Reinstall the air cleaner mounting stud and tighten it hand tight. Reconnect the vacuum hose for the choke pull-off. Place the TPS plunger through the hole in the air horn and reposition the accelerator pump lever. Using a needle nose pliers or a small screwdriver between the pivot pin and the air horn, carefully pry the pivot pin back through the pump lever until it is flush with the housing. Using your hand, reinstall the choke rod into the lower choke lever by twisting slightly while holding the lever over with a small screwdriver. Install the upper choke lever back into the choke rod. Position the lever onto the end of the choke shaft, making sure the flats on the shaft align with the flats in the lever, and reinstall the retaining screw. When properly installed, the lever will point to the rear of the carburetor. Plug in the MC solenoid and TPS electrical connectors. The last step is to check the TPS adjustment. This step must be performed with a digital 10 megohm input voltmeter. In the appropriate service manual for your vehicle, or in the instructions included with the new throttle position sensor, locate the voltage specification. Then, back probe the center and lower terminals of the TPS connector as demonstrated. Set your voltmeter on the low voltage scale and connect the leads for your voltmeter to the back probe connectors. With the air conditioning off and the idle speed control plunger retracted, turn the ignition switch to the run position. Read the TPS voltage. Some vehicles, such as ours, will require it to be adjusted with the choke on the high step of the fast idle cam. If it is within specifications, you're done. If not, you must remove a small tamper-resistant plug that covers the TPS adjustment screw. To do so, drill a hole in the plug with a 5/64 drill bit. Be careful so as not to drill too far and damage the TPS adjustment screw. Insert the number 8 sheet metal screw in the hole drilled. Using a pliers, pull on the screw to remove the plug. Use a special TPS adjustment tool to bring the voltage within specifications. On our vehicle, the specification is 0.97 volts on the high step of the fast idle cam. Always make sure your final adjustment is made by turning the screw in a clockwise motion. Once adjusted, place a drop of thread locking compound in the adjustment hole and reinstall the new tamper-resistant plug supplied with the new TPS until it is flush with the boss on the carburetor. Remove your voltmeter and back probe pins and you're done.
To replace a throttle position sensor that is located in the carburetor, begin by turning off all the accessories including the ignition switch. Remove the air cleaner assembly. Disconnect the mixture control solenoid and throttle position sensor electrical leads. Disconnect and remove the choke linkage from the choke shaft. Remove the accelerator pump lever and linkage. Next, remove the throttle position sensor plunger. Remove any vacuum lines connected to the top of the carburetor. Remove the front two mounting bolts. Now remove the air cleaner mounting stud. Using a magnetic screwdriver, remove all of the air horn screws. Carefully lift and remove the air horn from the carburetor. Remove the old throttle position sensor and spring from the main body. Install the new throttle position sensor and spring into the carburetor. Install a new air horn gasket and reinstall the air horn. Start all of the air horn screws and tighten by following the tightening sequence found in a Haynes manual. Reinstall and tighten the two front mounting bolts. Thread the air cleaner stud back into the carburetor. Reconnect all vacuum hoses. Next, reinstall the throttle position sensor plunger and accelerator pump lever. Reinstall the choke linkage, making sure the choke lever points to the rear of the carburetor. Reconnect the mixture control solenoid and throttle position sensor electrical leads. Lastly, snap the throttle a couple of times and check the setting of the sensor with a digital voltmeter. Refer to a Haynes manual for the specific adjustment procedures for your vehicle.